We're going into week 17 of the NFL season, and we could officially say that Miami is on the way to the postseason for the first time since 2008. 2008, first time. We haven't won, I believe, a playoff game in 16 years. It was an unforgettable victory against the Buffalo Bills, a loss by the Denver Broncos on Christmas evening, and it helped us clinch a spot in the playoffs in Adam Gase's first year as the head coach. Earlier in this year, honestly, to me, it didn't seem possible. I remember that coming off just a disappointing loss to Tennessee in week 5. And at that point, we were 1-4. 9 wins and 10 games later, the Dolphins are in the playoffs with a chance to be the 5th seed. Adam Gase seems like he's completely restructured this franchise, the culture. And that culminated with the win over the Buffalo Bills, 34-31. I think this game against the Buffalo Bills will probably go down as one of the most significant and impactful games in the last decade of Dolphins football. This was a huge game. It was probably one of the most entertaining two of this season. 34-31. Against the Bills on Saturday. We needed this win to prove that that we are playoff contenders and that the Buffalo Bills are the Buffalo Jills. Resilient. And it showed through the division rivals. Make no mistake about it, dude, this wasn't the most perfect performance. Gase again had his injury-plagued squad, ready to battle against a team struggling to remain in the playoff hunt. And Rex Ryan probably playing for his job. And when you look at the game, when you look at Matt Moore, he wasn't as effective as he was against last week's matchup against the New York Jets. The Jets are a worse team than the Bills. But Moore did enough to keep the Dolphins in the game. And he set us up for the win. Had it not been for, Matt Moore threw a potentially costly interception at the end of the first half. That was pretty ugly. Almost. Finished the game very efficient, 16 for 30, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he led Miami down the field on several key scoring drives. J-Train helped him. Offensive line helped him. Matt Moore took what Rex Ryan and his defense of the Bills gave him, and he was able to avoid mistakes. Obviously, outside that pick there, but he was efficient. Moore, I think he deserves a ton of credit for having the support of his teammates and coming out ready to play against a motivated team in the Bills. I like what I see out of Matt Moore. I'm telling you that Matt Moore is my quarterback over Ryan Tannehill any day of the week. Listen, we could argue this until the cows come home, but Matt Moore is better, in my opinion, than Ryan Tannehill. And J-Train, we've been waiting for this type of a performance that he had this week. Several performances last couple weeks were lackluster. He finally looked like the running back that carried his team to a 6-game win streak earlier in the season. 32 carries, 206 yards, and a touchdown. Broke off multiple big runs to take the pressure off of Matt Moore. Decisive, powerful, explosive throughout the matchup. And that touchdown that he ran for was a prime example. Kenyon Drake, 45-yard run there as well. So, like what you've seen from him. Overall, this was, I think, one of the most complete performances for Miami's running back group there. And the rest of the running backs there, they found ways to impact the game. The wide receivers, you know, when you look at it, Devontae Parker coming out again. Huge 56-yard touchdown. Kenny Stills remained a clog in the offense. He was a reliable target for Matt Moore. Didn't have any of those big plays, but he remained productive. He had 3 catches, 35 yards, third quarter touchdown to stretch their lead to 28-14. Jarvis Landry was the least statistically impressive of a bunch, but you know, he definitely, you know, passed the eye test for me. He looked borderline untouchable with the ball in his hand, you know, at points. So he was doing good too, though he had a quiet game. The offensive line, I like what I see from the offensive line. They provided Matt Moore with a clean pocket throughout the game. Matt Moore wasn't sacked a single time. Rarely was he forced to scramble. Injuries, you know, have plagued the offensive line. But it finally seems like they are, you know, rebounding from the past, you know, misfortunes that they had. I think Adam Gase, when you look at the offensive line in particular, he has created a culture in that offensive line that embraces scratching and clawing for victories. And you got to win in the trenches. I like what I've seen from the offensive line. You know, the defensive backs, though, man, I don't know. I think one of the worst performances all year. Tyrod Taylor and Sammy Watkins made the secondary look silly multiple occasions. Xavier Howard returned to the starting lineup after a strong performance against New York, but he failed to carry over any momentum. He was largely terrible. Victimized time and time again by Watkins and couldn't slow down Charles Clay either. The deep safeties seemed lost as well. You know, they allowed Watkins and Clay to beat them throughout the game. So, it wasn't the best of game for the defensive backs there. But you got to credit Adam Gase for keeping this team's composure. For keeping his team's composure in this game. It was a crazy second half. A lot on the line. And they somehow managed to come out with a win. Offensive game plan that they had for Gase was great. You know, J-Train already had one 200-yard rushing performance against Buffalo on the season, and Gase certainly didn't stay away from what worked earlier in 2016. This team in the Bills is a lot different than the Jets were. The Bills had a lot to play for, and you got to credit this team and the coach. He got this team ready to play against this team. Defensively, we're a little bit shaky. Can't tell you what the game plan was defensively, as the Buffalo offense just shredded the Dolphins in nearly every aspect. So, nonetheless, here we are, playoff bound. Let's keep the momentum going. I hope all is well, and I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon.